Ever wondered why people just like you and me remain in poverty? It's a question that has puzzled many. After all, we live in a world of seemingly endless opportunities. So, how do we find ourselves stuck in a cycle of poverty? We are about to embark on a journey to explore this perplexing conundrum. We'll delve deep into the world of poverty, a realm where ambition and intelligence are often stifled by circumstances and systemic barriers. From the classic cycle of poverty theory to the more sophisticated structural inequality arguments, we'll dissect a variety of factors that keep people poor. These factors are not just about the lack of wealth, but also about the lack of access to resources, opportunities, and social capital. So buckle up, folks. It's time for some poverty busting. Let's dive in to unravel the mystery behind this conundrum. To understand why people remain poor, we first need to explore societal structures. Now, we're all part of a complex society, aren't we? We're driven by a multitude of factors, some of which can be easily manipulated by those with power. Indeed, these societal factors play a pivotal role in keeping people poor. Take the lack of access to quality education, for instance. This is a critical barrier that can keep us stuck in a cycle of poverty. Those in power often maintain this status quo, offering equal opportunities that are anything but equal. The lack of access to these supposedly available opportunities can keep even the most determined among us trapped in poverty. Then there's systemic discrimination, a reality that's as old as humanity itself. The promise of a level playing field can be a tantalizing prospect. This is perhaps best illustrated by the infamous American dream. You've probably heard of it, the idea that anyone can achieve success through hard work and determination. It's clearly a myth to many of us, but the allure of success can sometimes override our better judgment. And let's not forget the desire to trust others. We're social creatures by nature, and it's in our DNA to build connections and trust with our fellow humans. Those in power exploit this trust, often presenting themselves as champions of equality and justice. They know that if they can win our trust, they can manipulate us more easily. But perhaps the most intriguing factor of all is our innate optimism. We tend to believe in the goodness of people, and more often than not, we hope for the best possible outcome. This optimism bias can blind us to the harsh realities of the world, making us vulnerable to systemic oppression. So it seems our trust and optimism can often cloud our judgment, making us easy prey for those in power. Societal structures are, in essence, masters of manipulation. They weave narratives and fabricate scenarios so convincingly that even the most discerning of us can fall prey to their tactics. So how do they manage to do this? To understand this, let's delve into the case study of the notorious American dream. Imagine you are told from a young age that you can achieve anything if you work hard enough. The voice telling you this sounds convincing, even inspiring. They congratulate you on living in a land of endless opportunities. You don't see these opportunities, but they explain it away as a matter of hard work and determination. Now, this is where the art of manipulation comes into play. The system creates a sense of urgency. They tell you that opportunities are fleeting. If you don't seize them now, they will vanish. The ticking clock, the imagined success slipping away, they all create a sense of panic. You are more likely to make a hasty decision when you are under pressure. Next, they introduce the element of exclusivity. They tell you that you are one of the few chosen ones. This makes you feel special, chosen. It strokes your ego and makes you want to believe in the too good to be true narrative. The system is pressing all the right buttons. They are appealing to your emotions, not your logic. They are making you feel good, special, and lucky. They are creating pressure, making you believe that if you don't act now, you will lose out. And that's how they get you. They manipulate your feelings, your fears, and your desires. They make you believe that you need to act fast, without thinking, without questioning. So the next time you're presented with a narrative that seems too good to be true, remember this: societal structures are not just systems, they are manipulators. They know how to play with our emotions and our cognitive biases. They know what makes us tick. Societal systems know how to push our buttons, and they do it well. Another tool in the societal structure's arsenal is the illusion of meritocracy. This is a crafty strategy that involves the creation of a facade so convincing, it's easy to believe it's the real deal. Let's imagine a scenario. You're told from a young age that if you work hard, you can climb the social ladder. The narrative may even include an official-looking success story, perhaps even a familiar one, like a famous entrepreneur or a self-made millionaire. This, my friends, is an example of the meritocracy myth, a common ruse used to exploit the trust we place in a fair and just society. The powers that be create a convincing narrative, complete with success stories and jargon that mirrors what you'd hear from a successful individual. But here's the catch. When you work hard, you're not always rewarded with success. Instead, you're often faced with systemic barriers whose sole aim is to maintain the status quo. Once they have this, they can keep you in a cycle of poverty, limit your access to resources, or even lock you out of opportunities completely. The illusion of meritocracy they create is so convincing that it's easy to let your guard down, and this is precisely what they want. By appearing fair and just, they lull you into a false sense of security, making it easier for them to maintain their power. The meritocracy myth is just one example of how societal structures use illusions to their advantage. They might also set up fake opportunities, use biased selection processes, or even create counterfeit narratives. All of these tactics are designed to trick you into believing you're part of a fair system when in reality, you're not. When everything looks above board, it's easy to let our guard down. But remember, appearances can be deceiving, and not everything that glitters is gold. Sometimes our own overconfidence can be our downfall. This statement echoes true, especially when we delve into the world of poverty and societal structures. You might be thinking, I'm intelligent, I've got a good head on my shoulders, there's no way I'll remain poor. But here's the catch. It's precisely this overconfidence that can make you an easy target. See, societal structures don't discriminate. They're not just out there keeping the gullible or the naive poor. They're after anyone who thinks they're too smart to be kept poor. Let's take a look at the case of an infamous get-rich-quick scheme as an example. Here we had a scheme that promised high returns with minimal effort. It sounded too good to be true, but that didn't stop a multitude of well-educated, savvy individuals from pouring their hard-earned money into it. They believed they were too astute to remain poor. Yet they were precisely the ones who fell the hardest. Why did this happen? It's simple. These individuals overestimated their ability to beat the system. They saw the potential benefits, the lucrative returns, and their confidence in their own judgment blinded them to the red flags that were waving right in front of their faces. This is what we call overconfidence bias, a cognitive bias that leads us to overestimate our own abilities or knowledge. When it comes to poverty, this bias can be particularly dangerous. It can lead us into a false sense of security, making us complacent and more susceptible to manipulation. Remember, societal structures are incredibly skilled at what they do. They know how to play on your emotions, your desires, and yes, even your overconfidence. They'll make you feel like you're in control, like you're the one making the smart decision, when in reality you're walking right into their trap. So, the next time you're presented with an opportunity that seems too good to be true, take a moment to question it. Don't let your confidence cloud your judgment. Because, as we've seen, just because you're smart doesn't mean you're immune to poverty. We've explored the reasons why people remain poor, but how can we protect ourselves? We've delved deep into the societal tactics that keep people in poverty, using manipulation and creating an illusion of meritocracy to maintain the status quo. We've also discussed how overconfidence and complacency can make us an easy target. So how do we safeguard ourselves? Firstly, always question the legitimacy of any opportunity, be it a job offer, an investment scheme, or a promise of quick riches. Secondly, never underestimate the power of education and knowledge. And lastly, remember that if something seems too good to be true, it often is. Let's keep these points in mind and arm ourselves with knowledge. Societal structures prey on the